Don't buy sports cards just for the money. Dustin, what are you talking about? You're always talking about sports card prices, upward and downward movement. So what exactly am I talking about today? Well, I had a great comment on a video last week. I think it was like Steakmaster 300 or 3000 or something was the commenter. But basically the gist of the comment was, hey, why do we always talk about pricing on this channel? Why is it always just about that? What about like PC stuff, stuff that you don't necessarily just care about the values? Well, I think we need to differentiate between two parts of the PC. Let's go ahead and discuss it. Stick around. Before we get started, huge thanks to today's video sponsor, DC Sports 87. You want to sell on eBay, but you don't want to deal with the listing and the packaging and all the things that go along with selling on eBay. It's a lot of work and time. I shoot a lot of my stuff over to DC Sports 87. Easy peasy. They take care of everything for me. So make sure to check out DC Sports 87 today. What's going on, sports card hobby family? I am just getting back from a wedding with my wife and the fam. It was my wife's cousin that got married. It was a good time, another one in the books, another wedding in the books, but I am still playing a little bit of catch-up recovery mode, and so bear with me as I struggle through this video today. All right, so two different parts of the PC, because I think this is actually really important. When people think about PC, many people are talking about, hey, this is a card that I'm going to hold over a long period of time. And that card might be a fairly expensive card for them, but they're basically saying like, hey, this is part of the PC. This is not a flip card. This is not a card that I want to flip in 3 months, 6 months. I put money into it. I want to hold on to it over a long period of time. I love the card and the joy of ownership and that sort of thing. But I've also got a pretty substantial amount of money in that particular collectible. And then there's the other side of the PC where we don't really necessarily care about price increases. There's no expectations of that happening. I always joke about my Bobby Hebert collection and how it's going straight up in value. Of course, we know that that's not going to happen. The Cajun Cannon doesn't get any love there, the 80s Saints QB. But in all seriousness, that's kind of the part of the PC where you don't necessarily have expectations, and I have that part as my PC as well. And as you might guess, it's a lot of 80s, 90s nostalgia stuff. And I'm going to show some of the stuff that I'm talking about today. The big thing for me is if I am going to spend money, and granted, it's never a lot of money on a particular collectible. It might be a couple dollars a card. It might be $10 for an item. It's not a lot of money for each item, but the thing that is extremely important to me when I'm buying that sort of thing is nostalgia. When I buy it, and actually today I got a package. Today I got a package for one of these items, and that is a complete set of 89-90 Hoops basketball. Of course, it's got the David Robinson. And the thing that I love about this set in particular is just the thought of opening the packs, looking for the Michael Jordan card, looking for the Larry Bird card. Of course, back then you didn't have serial numbered cards that you're chasing. You're literally just chasing kind of the stars. And I was 9 years old when this came out. So you're kind of flipping through and you might get the Kenny Walkers, you might get the Alvin Robertsons, but then you might get Magic Johnson. You're like, oh man, I pulled a Magic Johnson card. And the packs were about 75 cents a dollar back then. So this wasn't like you're buying a $40 blaster box at Walmart. And even with inflation from 1990, I mean, $40 is still a lot more than what we were buying packs for back in those days. Now, I know for many people, they like to buy packs or they like to buy single cards and complete sets. I like to buy the sets that I want already completed in a binder, specifically already in a binder. I don't really like it as much in kind of a box or something. I want it in a binder. And I know some people say, oh, the binder pages will ruin the cards. Again, I'm not concerned about the condition. I'm not concerned about the value. I want to view them in a binder. It's the best way to view a set, in my opinion. Some might disagree with me, and I know some people are collecting sets and slabs, and they've got, PSA set registry type stuff going on. That to me is an expensive way of doing it, and that's certainly a way to collect, to set collect. For me, it's just simple. I would rather buy a complete set from that era that I grew up in, and I'll show kind of a few of what I've got. Of course, we had the 89-90 Hoops, the 90 Marvel Impel, the Marvel Universe stuff. This is all stuff that I opened packs of as a kid. My favorite set of all time 89 score football. One that I actually need to get is 89 pro set football. One set in particular that I love and one of my favorite cards that's in my PC, and granted, this wasn't a dollar card. This actually cost me about $75, so it wasn't an inexpensive card, but it speaks again to the nostalgia, and it is a PC card that if it goes up in price and value over time, that's great, but otherwise, I'm not really that worried about it. It's the 1991 Pro Line Portraits. It's the Jerry Rice card. But little did I know as a kid that there was a certain number of these that were signed by the players or the coaches or even the wives. There's players, wives. I think Joe Montana's wife has a card in this set. The thing I love about it is you've got a write-up on the back that, of course, is of the time period. And again, 1991, I'm 10 years old. So it just resonates. When you read what's written on the back, you're like, okay, that just takes me back in time. They're always wearing like a 90s tracksuit, late 80s, 90s tracksuit or some 90s garb. So it represents a time period well. And of course, these are just really cool. The fact that you had on-card autos that were pack pulled. These are some of the earliest football on-card autos that are pack pulled that really nobody even knows about. A lot of people don't even know that this set exists. And when I was a kid opening packs, I had no idea that this chase card was even in it. I did open a lot of packs of these as a kid, and I never pulled any sort of an autograph card. And so again, other PC type items, starting lineups. We got Bo Jackson of the classic Royals starting lineup, and then of course my guy Bobby Hebert. And I used to collect these as a kid. I didn't collect them in the box, of course I opened them, but I really enjoy buying these in the box. They're inexpensive nowadays as well. They mass produce these. And amazingly, just a lot of them still in the box. I've got some that are graded too, just depending on the player. But this is kind of a fun thing for me because again, this is stuff that I just remember collecting as a kid and reading the back of the box. This was really the time period when collectibles or just kind of these sorts of items, toys, collectibles, everything was blowing up. This is of course a non-sports thing, but Mad Balls were huge back again when I was a kid. I love finding these still in the box because again, it's just the memories that come back to, and again, a lot of it's Toys R Us or Kmart. Kmart for those that remember Kmart before they went under thanks to Amazon and Walmart, but they were the king for a lot of this stuff. The Blue Light Special and really Toys R Us too. You walk into Toys R Us back in 1990, 91, 92, you walk into the starting lineup section and there's 100 different ones. And then you look and there's some players that you've never seen before. They got a shipment, and it's not just that, it was Star Wars figures where you got all the Kenner figures and there's all different ones. And depending on what region you're in, you might have some that aren't in others. It was just a really fun time to collect various things. I think the 80s really exploded collecting in general. Back then, there was so many different IPs that were being born and growing up. And of course, today, these popular IPs that were born in the late 70s, 80s, and into the 90s, they are just exploding. You got that next generation that's coming in and watching Ninja Turtles and watching Beavis and Butthead and watching, the Masters of the Universe or whatever it is, Thundercats. There's so much of this stuff that still lives on, and that's what makes this so much fun. But again, I think it goes back to differentiating between PCs. You have PC things, of course, that are just, hey, this is a long-term hold. My star Michael Jordan card, my star Jordan card. This kind of fits both of these. This is a long-term hold PC item that also happens to live in the 80s where I was a Michael Jordan fan. I watched him win all 6 of his titles. I was 10 years old when he won the first one. I used to wear the Bulls tracksuit. When I was 13, I got the Jordan 9s. I thought I was the coolest kid on the planet. And so this is an example of where you can get kind of a grail card, but then also hits the nostalgia button. This is kind of the ultimate PC item for me. And so as much as there's a lot of, talk in collectibles about buying kind of the smart buys and the things that can be, the good long-term holds or whatever, nobody really knows what that looks like. There's so much nuance in the hobby. And I think it's important, again, I'll say it again, differentiating your PC stuff. You can have this as a PC thing where you spent considerable money on it, but it's a long-term hold item. And then you can also have this sort of PC thing where you just enjoy the thing and you spent $8 on it and you just have it because you enjoy it. I would love to have more of this sort of thing, but here's my problem is that I only have so much space. And so the 80s, 90s with all the cool things, I could fill my entire house with collectibles and my wife, my family, I don't think that would really go over too well. I'm not some of these collectors that have, a mansion with 2,000 square feet that they can put all their collectibles in. That's just not me at this stage in the game. But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments below. I thought this was a good topic, so thank you. Was it Master Shake 300 that made the comment? I think it's important to kind of also talk about just some of the things you've got that aren't necessarily, stuff that you expect to go up in value, but just cool things that you really enjoy. I have a lot of this sort of thing, and so I wanted to show a few of those items here today. My friends, stay healthy, stay awesome, and I will talk to you again later.